Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm Michael Chikeen, and today we're talking about everyone's secret favorite hobby and greatest enemy, sleep, with Dr. Leah Kaylor. Leah is the FBI's in-house expert on sleep and trauma, a licensed clinical psychologist whose work has included conducting psychological debriefings for some of the most high-profile and emotionally taxing incidents in FBI history. She began her career at the Memphis VA Sleep Clinic, treating veterans with nightmares and stubborn insomnia, and these days she travels the world teaching law enforcement partners why sleep is mission critical and how to get it when adrenaline, shift work, and trauma keep the brain on alert. Dr. Kaylor has a PhD in clinical psychology, a master's in forensic mental health counseling, a postdoctoral master's in clinical psychopharmacology, plus certifications in EMDR and brain spotting. Her first upcoming book, The Sleep Advantage, lands October 1st this year, 2025, and I already know it'll be a bestseller. So today we'll break down what chronic sleep debt is, what it really does to performance, why nightmares can be rewired, and we'll probably have likely a little sleep supplement chat and the simple habits Leah gives FBI agents that the rest of us can steal. So Dr. Kaylor, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I just love talking about sleep. You said it's everybody's hobby, but everybody's worst enemy. Like, oh, it's my favorite hobby. Absolutely. It's one of my favorite things to do.
I mean, yeah. So, what got you into sleep? Like, at what point with your schooling were you like, this is the realm I want to be in and dive as deep as I can?
In traditional Dr. Leah form, I totally just stumbled into it. I in my so I was not the greatest sleeper. So just to kind of go like way back in time to undergrad days, I was a collegiate gymnast, and my sleep schedule was kind of all over the place, and I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out why I was struggling. So I would take the earliest morning classes. I would ask for like all the 8 a.m.s that they had. I would go to the library. I would do studying, and then I would take like a 3 hour nap in the middle of the day. Like, that seemed normal to me. Then I would go and we would have very long gymnastics practices. They're normally about 4 hours long. I'd go to dinner, go to the library, do some more studying. But then by the time it was time for my bedtime, I wasn't sleepy, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't sleepy. I mean, it sounds ridiculous now, like saying all this out loud and knowing what it is that I know, but I couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, do I need Benadryl? Like, what's going on? Like, why can't I sleep? I've been so active all day long. And so, yeah, and I think everybody can relate to having a really poor night's sleep, no matter who you are. And so I think that it's unusual just to have one poor night's sleep. I think that people can relate to that for very, very long periods of time and not even understand the difference between like a decent night's sleep, which is probably what they're getting, compared to
Mm.
quite a good night's sleep that you can be getting. And so I was, I'm sure that all of the listeners can pick up, oh yeah, it was that 3 hour nap in the middle of the afternoon before my gymnastics practice that was really screwing my sleep schedule. But way back when, before my doctorate, I couldn't figure out what it was. So now it's very obvious to me, but my sleep habits weren't really that great. And so fast forward many years later, I'm in my final year of my PhD, and I'm on my residency year at the Memphis VA Medical Center. And when you're in your very final year, you have to do lots of different rotations. You have to make sure that you're very, very well rounded and that you have as many skills as you possibly can before you go out into the real world and start working under your own license. And I wish I could go back in time and remember, because there were a few rotations that I absolutely wanted, and there were several that you kind of have to compromise on, because there's going to be, what we do, at least at my internship site, was we have all the interns and all the postdocs come together in one room, and we're not leaving until everyone is relatively satisfied. And so everyone has to pick their rotations, and we kind of have this big like chart that we're like Tetrising all the things and all the people and making sure everyone
Mm.
gets relatively what it is that they want. And so one of the many rotations that I end up with is the sleep clinic. And I just was blown away by the amount of information that I learned, that how many people are struggling with sleep. Like, I used to, within the VA, I would
Oh
regularly
yeah.
teach sleep hygiene courses, and people would just be falling asleep on me in class. And I'm like, this is a very small class. We've got like 12 people in here. Like, clearly I can see you sleeping. But again, like,
Right.
people are just so chronically sleep deprived. Like, you're here to learn how to get better sleep, and yet you can't even stay awake to take in the information in the class. And so that still continues to happen as I give sleep lectures, and it is what it is. Like, I just know how incredibly sleep deprived our population is, and as you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, this hustle culture, this go go go, and that is it's I mean, it's infiltrated every part of our lives, and that's something that I was seeing years ago, and I think that it's only gotten worse. So that's where it all started. I was helping my veterans with sleep hygiene, as we talked about, like nightmares. A lot of people don't realize, but you can treat nightmares, and you can treat them very effectively. That was a huge thing that I learned how to do within the VA. Just
Whoa.
helping people with insomnia, like CPAP. A lot of people are, I think, afraid of obstructive sleep apnea, and we can certainly talk about why it's even more scary not to treat it. But it was very scary for my veterans to wear something over their nose and mouth, especially if they've ever had any type of trauma or anything like that, kind of with an
Sure.
apparatus on their face. So teaching people how to put that on and to relax and kind of be desensitized to it. So I did lots of different things within the VA that really taught me the importance of sleep. And so I then ended up my next position. I took a full-time job at the FBI as a psychologist. And within the first few days, my supervisor was like, okay, Leah, what's going to be your thing? And I said, well, why don't we do sleep? Like, I just got off a rotation at the sleep clinic. I took a ton of information away. And like I said, everybody can relate to having a poor night's sleep. It doesn't matter if you have a dog that needs to go out in the middle of the night, if you have a new baby, if you've got chronic pain. Just the other night, my carbon monoxide battery decided to die at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't figure out where the beeping was. So like,
Oh
even
no.
even the FBI's sleep expert can relate to having a poor night's sleep. Like, things just happen sometimes. So I figured, what, whenever it comes to mental health, there's still a lot of hesitancy to seek those services, even though we have people like myself on board full time for these services. I figured, let me just get my foot in the door with sleep, and then maybe I can get people to actually talk to me about mental health and what's actually going on. So that is, in not really a nutshell, how it all started.